Many lifters find themselves in this constant state of confusion where they're constantly searching for new information and it always ends up being contradictory. So they don't really know what's right and what they need to do to actually progress optimally. And I remember perfectly well when I was a beginner and I used to be in the same situation. Now, despite all of that contradictory information that you may have found on the internet, I can guarantee you that one thing you found is that everyone in the fitness industry unanimously agrees that progressive overload must be induced to build muscle. On the surface, that doesn't sound very complicated. You basically just keep getting stronger over time and you build muscle. And I understand that for those of us who have been lifting for a while now, it's easy to forget how things that feel so simple now weren't actually that simple when we were first introduced to them. Because I remember when I was first introduced to progressive overload, it was treated like the holy grail of lifting, which it is to some degree. The problem was that no one really gave any in-depth, specific advice on how to actually implement it. It was always just the same regurgitated advice of, just make sure that you're getting stronger week to week. And sure, in hindsight now, it was very simple and not very complicated, but I'm someone who likes full step-by-step guides. I like to know exactly what I need to do to every specific detail, or I start to get anxiety. If you just give me some surface level information without telling me how to actually implement it, my brain doesn't like that. It starts to get anxious and it needs more information. I need to know every single detail about every single thing that I need to do to make the best progress, especially when it comes to something like progressive overload, which is one of the most crucial components to your progress. Because over the years now, I've actually learned that there is a way to optimally structure it to make the best progress. And that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. So if you're someone who has still been confused about it, or you're someone who's slightly autistic like me and you need a perfect step-by-step plan on how to do it, then stick around because that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. So without wasting any more time, I'll just get straight into step one, which is going to be picking a rep range. I recommend not exceeding 4 at the maximum, and typically I recommend 3 as my personal favorite. So for example, let's say on your barbell curls or any exercise, it doesn't really matter. You have a rep range of 6 to 9 reps. So once you've selected that rep range, now what you need to do is select a weight that challenges you when you perform any given amount of reps within that range. If you've been lifting for a short amount of time, then you may already have an idea of what weight you need to be using. But if you're just starting out, start with a very light weight that you can do 6 to 9 reps easily in, and then slowly work your way up to a weight that starts to challenge you. Once you finally have a weight that allows you to train to or very close to muscular failure within that rep range, you then want to continue to repeat that weight until you can finally hit the top end of the rep range. So in this case, that would be 9 reps. At that point, you can then graduate from the rep range. Now at this point, you have 2 choices. Personally, I prefer choice 2, but first I'm going to explain choice 1. So option 1, depending on how many sets you perform for each exercise, which is likely going to be around 3 if I had to guess, or maybe 2 if you've been watching my content, but this will apply to any amount beyond 1. For simplicity and relatability, let's just say you're doing 3 sets of 6 to 9 reps on the barbell curl. After multiple weeks of using a weight within the rep range, you finally get 9 reps on that first set. But the set was very intense. Let's say you had 1 rep in the tank at most. This means that your performance will inevitably drop on the second and third set, which is actually a good thing because it indicates that you're training with sufficient intensity. So maybe you get 7 reps on the second set and then 6 reps on the third set. So this is where option 1 comes into play, which most people tend to opt for instead of option 2, although I do believe it to be inferior. However, it's still better than using none of these methods, which is to only add weight to the bar once you can complete 9 reps on all 3 sets, which may sound intuitive and make sense logically. However, there's one major issue here. By the time that you can perform 9 reps on set 2, that means that set 1 was likely lacking in intensity. And by the time you're able to perform 9 reps on set 3, the same has likely happened to set 2. And by then, set 1 is basically just junk volume. Now, can you still progress like this? Sure, it will just be slower and less efficient than option 2. Now, option 2, this is where you dynamically adjust each set. So instead of patiently waiting until you can get 9 reps on all 3 sets, you just progress on each individual set. So once you first hit 9 reps, you increase the weight on set 1 regardless of the performance of set 2 and 3. Meaning, the following week, you'll increase the weight on set 1 and then decrease it back down for set 2 and 3 to the same weight that you used the previous week because you haven't hit 9 reps using it yet. This prevents significant performance drop off that will kick you out of the rep range. So while it may require more meticulous tracking and adjustment, it's going to prevent junk volume by allowing each set to be maximally intense. You'll never find yourself stopping the set prematurely at 9 reps just to wait for set 2 and 3 to catch up. Now, this is also what allows me to get away with doing only 2 sets instead of 3 in my own training, because each set is taken to all-out failure or at least 0 reps in reserve, meaning I save time by doing less overall work, and I also get a better stimulus from it, which then allows me to progress faster in weight. Now, there's one situation where using option 1 might be more effective, which is when you're doing large free weight compound movements that can actually benefit from maintaining reps in reserve, or could actually be dangerous if taken to failure. But for 99% of exercises, or even if you use machines for those large compounds instead of free weights, option 2 is going to be superior. But regardless of which option you choose here, the sooner that you at least start implementing one, the faster you'll start to see progress, because you're actually approaching it strategically and intentionally. The problem that most people run into is that they don't have a strategy, they don't have any intention, and they just end up spinning their wheels. They're repeating the same weights week after week, and they're not making any progress. But because you made it this far in the video, you're not going to have that issue. With that said, I appreciate you guys making it this far in the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.